Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. By everyone, I mean the 19 people who have subscribed and perhaps a few people who are on the Discord so far, and people from the future. This is going to be a Genetron guide. I believe it is the first Genetron build order guide currently on the internet. This guide is going to be a double manufacturer opener for decent and fast Spitfire production, as well as a quick speed upgrade for the Spitfires into an additional Jupiter harass. Although several elements of this build order can be switched up slightly, so you could produce maybe Hornets instead of bombers, and there's a few things you could skip or do something else instead. But this is probably the closest to a standard, in quotation marks, build that we'll probably get so far, seeing as that there isn't, much of a pro scene, so there's probably not really much of a standard figured out. Not enough games played to figure out a standard. But if there was one, this probably be it. But anyways, I'll start this replay. I was just in this replay. I went up against it's just an AI Elite Zerg. Now for your first processing node, I advise to put it on the side of the ramp that is closest to your processing core. This way your manufacturer over here will allow a big enough gap for 2x2 units, medium-sized units like Stalkers to walk through. Or you can also then also wall that off with a processing node to make a 1x1, or make it a tighter choke. And it's generally better than the other way around, otherwise your units will have to walk all the way around your manufacturer. It's slightly more efficient. Now, similar to the Terran's build opener, you want to be starting a filtering plant right after your manufacturer once you have enough money. This will be to get that 50 gas like the Terrans do for the Reaper, except this 50 gas will be for the uploader, the Elite AI sending out a drone. Now, with the same worker that starts this manufacturer, I generally think that's probably the best time to send out a scout, similar to the Protoss Scout, Protoss Gateway Scout. You can send it after the processing node instead. Now, this variation, I decided to get a quicker second processing core, like right now, right here. If you want, you can, as you see, I have the gas now, but I don't have the minerals. If you want, you can go for a quicker uploader instead, before the processing core. But in this replay, I want processing core first. After that, you want to get your processing node before your first Spitfire. Spitfires 2 supply, the highest supply out of any starting unit, including the other customers. As the music starts. After that, you want to be taking one worker out of the gas as soon as you have enough, as soon as your Spitfire upgrade calibrated engines has started. Then almost at the same time as this upgrade, you want to start a second manufacturer, and once you have the money, also a filtering plant. Now there's a bit of a lull. Once this gets enough gas, you want to be starting up a fabricator. I love these new building schemes. It's such a cool concept. Instead of warping for but yeah, once this finishes up, you want to then send your workers down and start up the processing core when you have the money, although I prioritize Spitfires over that. I generally think prioritizing Spitfires is probably better than a faster fabricator, but you could start up a fabricator instead. Now this will mostly just be to tech up into that what's the starport called? The assembly array. Yeah. Now probably around now's a good time to send out the Spitfires. I didn't quite do that in this replay, unfortunately. It didn't matter. It's only an AI opponent. But what you want to be doing with the Spitfires is trying to gain map control. Also, with continuous Spitfire and ACR production, you want to be, once you have the money, you want to be starting up an outfitting station, because you will need the outfitting station to then make a tech vault, which will then allow you to produce the Jupiters. I did have units on here, but like for example against the Zerg, you want to be using the Spitfires like a Terran would with Hellions, or in perhaps Genetron versus Protoss, you want to be kind of using like Protoss would, like a more aggressive Protoss would with their Stalkers. Now there's still 2 in each. Now after you start up the next 2 uploaders, this is about the time you want to then be resaturating these filtering plants, starting up some more filtering plants on the Vespene geysers down here. Make sure to not get supply blocks while also harassing with this. This is a bit hard to pull off, it requires a lot of APM. If like getting this outfit station, tech vault, doing all this what do you call it? Transferring of workers between the filtering plants can be a bit tricky. So if you're potentially not up to that, it can just be better, safer to just open Hornets instead. Hornets are still fine, they're very good at harass still. Similar to Banshees and Oracles, they're fine. Jupiters are a little bit better at main fighting units. Depends what you really like to use better, to be honest. I missed the part where you start up, where I started up the processing core, but generally once you have the money around somewhere around 4:30 and 5, you want to be starting up your third base. I also started up a repulsor here. These are pretty nice because they can burrow and unburrow, kind of like a supply depot. So you can use that in your wall at the bottom here. All the while, continuous Spitfire production. When you start to float more, add more and more manufacturers. But this is the pretty much the end where of the actual build order. The rest of this is when it kind of starts to transition into a standard game, and there's not much of a build order left. So you want to again be sniping, trying to trade here and there, just gaining map control, having map control, getting scouting information as well, if they're maybe going early hydras for some early lurkers,
Your army is under attack. Time to fight.
Or any of that. Something I did, oopsie daisy, but something I did forget to mention earlier is you do also want to potentially, you could skip this if you want to be a bit risky, for potentially faster stuff, but often once you have the money, once money allows, you want to be getting a torrent as soon as possible, because Genetron generally lacks anti-air quite a lot. The anti-air that they do have is very strong. Torrents are extremely strong anti-air, but Spitfires don't shoot up, bombers don't shoot up. A lot of like Vertices, they don't shoot up. There's a lot of core, very strong Genetron units which simply just do not shoot up. So you generally have to make your own anti-air, kind of like Protoss would have to make Phoenixes to counter Mutas. They won't simply just be able to do it with Stalkers oftentimes. Continually harassing with these Jupiters, it's up to you how many Jupiters you want to get. You can play a little bit like Jotak does, Jotak. Get more and more, and then try to keep those alive, and then use them as part of your main army while you transition towards Vertices. In this, I went for a more mobile unit comp before I simply left the game, because I didn't feel like there was much left to show, but went for a more mobile unit comp. I started transitioning more towards blitzers for a more reliable and long-term anti-air toward the mid-game. For some better mid-game anti-air in my core army. Blitzers are also simply just quite strong. See, I left the game. From here, you just generally play out the game however you want to. If you want to play more like a Vertus heavy comp, then instead of making these extra manufacturers, you could make some more fabricators. In addition, if you're floating a bit of money, you can still make fabricators and just simply use spitfires as a run-by tool, and as a harass tool. If your opponent moves out, then you move in like a zealot run-by with the spitfires, while your main army units, your heavy army units, would be being produced by the fabricators, but just a light amount of spitfires on the side for that kind of job. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video. I hope you found it useful. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you later.